What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Nobody Asked But. I'm your host, Tarek Bryant, and today we're going to be talking about a battle that lasted for 10 years. That is the Battle of Troy, bringing Greeks from all over to side with King Agamemnon and his brother King Menelaus to take back what was stolen. I already know you guys know the story, okay? You know, Troy, the Trojan horse, Helen of Troy, Paris, all that stuff. King Menelaus' wife Helen, having been swooned by Prince of Troy, Paris, is taken back to Troy, sparking a huge war that is remembered for centuries to come. The Iliad by Homer is one of the greatest epic poems coming out of ancient Greece. It's recounting the events, the characters, the mythos of the Battle of Troy. So you got heroes like Achilles, you got heroes like Hector, tamer of horses. Okay, in 2004, Wolfgang Petersen, may he rest in peace, brought us the only film adaptation, and if there is another one, I don't care for it, of this awesome book, and that movie was Troy. Starring Brad Pitt, Orlando Bloom, Eric Bana. You got Peter Toole on the bar as well too. This movie was amazing. I just watched it last night and I couldn't just it's such a beautiful looking film, from the sets to the costumes to the fight choreography. Everything about it is just amazing, and I wanted to talk about it today, not only because of the fact that it's a great movie, but if you don't know, a couple months ago, there was a picture of Matt Damon surfacing around the internet, all over, you know how it go, of him as Odysseus. And he is playing Odysseus in Christopher Nolan's film adaptation of The Odyssey. So guys, we are going to be getting The Odyssey later on, not this year, but I believe 2026. Christopher Nolan is going to be bringing us the second part of Homer's epic tale. But today we are going to talk about Troy, because it is one that it should not be forgotten. I looked up on YouTube and a lot of people are hating on this movie, and I don't understand why. It is a masterpiece, and I wanted to talk about it today. So today we're going to talk about Troy. Let's go!
Nobody asked you, bold boy.
Do you love me, brother? Would you protect me against any enemy?
What have you done now?
I must show you something.
After listening to multiple stories of the Iliad, breakdowns of the Trojan War, it makes this movie a lot more fun to watch because of how much really went into it. The Iliad by Homer is one of the greatest epic poems coming out of ancient Greece. Like I said, it recounts the telling of the 10-year-long war against the Trojans and the Greeks. Together, the Iliad and the Odyssey create one of the first epic novels dating back to 8th century BCE ancient Greece, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to talk about how this movie was able to bring to life the tale of the Iliad. You know, the similarities between it and the differences, they cannot be, you know, overlooked. But at the same time, David Benoit, I know that name sounds familiar. He's the guy who worked on Game of Thrones. David Benoit did a great job adapting Homer's Iliad and putting it into a film adaptation that is by far on the par of old Hollywood movies. And that's something, if you guys don't know, if you haven't watched this channel before, that's something that I really truly love, is old classic TCM Turner Classic movies. And so for Troy to have something that feels that way, like a Ben-Hur or like a Ten Commandments, it's awesome, dude. It brings back this glorious Hollywood, like this Jason and the Argonauts type of feel.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions. Do you know what's there? Waiting beyond that beach. Immortality. Take it. It's yours.
You got Brad Pitt as the vengeful Achilles. That poor Achilles, man. That dude. Woo! Talk about demons.
At night I see their faces. All the men I've killed. They're standing there on the far bank of the river Styx.
Bruh.
Talk about some demons, and Brad Pitt shows it. He shows it within the movie with subtlety, and You know, you would think that from Achilles. This guy has killed so many people, so many men in battle. That is what he is. He is a killer. He is a warrior. He is a natural born killer. And so we see how that turmoil is affecting him in certain scenes, like when he palm his head a lot in like a headache type of motion afterwards when he's done, you know, just taking out all these fools. This is a guy who is haunted by the role he plays, the talent he has for the battlefield, the choices between what is honorable and what is in his nature, the two differences between Hector and Achilles. Eric Bana as honorable Hector fighting for honor and family, and you have Achilles that's at many points just fighting for himself. Some people never even heard of Hector. Once they watch this movie, they know that he was an honorable prince and he did the best that he could to defend his city that he loved.
I've killed men, and I've heard them dying, and I've watched them dying, and there's nothing glorious about it. Nothing poetic. You say you want to die for love, but you know nothing about dying, and you know nothing about love.
Both of them play these heroes with such veracity, and at times you could see both of them are just troubled. They're just troubled by the things that they have to do. Everybody give him props to Achilles, but it's like, dude, Hector is the man. He took down Ajax the Great, a loyal husband, incredible father, a stick-up brother. All right, he'll look after his bro. Like, Hector is the man. Like, he even had Achilles breathing hard for a second. Okay, had him breathing hard. Had to reconstruct the strategy. Those battles, man, those head-to-head fights are so choreographed well, man. You're just clenched, especially the Hector versus Achilles battle. You know, seeing the fact that it was the actual actors, it was actual Brad Pitt, actual Eric Bana who were fighting each other and doing the choreography and stuff like that, and then having the magic of the camera angling and the sound effects just making this battle seem so intense. I mean, it wasn't not even seemed, it was intense. It was a great fight scene. It's a tragedy. Again, it's a tragedy of Hector. It's a tragedy of Achilles. It's a tragedy of these heroes who are unfortunately put in these circumstances. Orlando Bloom plays Paris perfectly, the little punk Paris, to the point where even my wife was just giving like ugh to every time he was on screen, especially when he volunteered to fight Menelaus. It was just like, oh my god, really?
Tomorrow morning, I will challenge Menelaus for the right to Helen.
He's saying this, and he walks out of the room. I can just imagine these dudes just start laughing when he walks out of the room. He's like, really? Like, really, bro? You're gonna fight Menelaus, huh? Oh, I can't wait to see that one. That's gonna be good. Diane Kruger does a great job bringing sadness to the Helen role because of the fact that she is aware of the doom that she's brought to Troy. It's almost like she's not there, almost like she's like a spirit. She's a spirit of this war. That's a great way to put it. Helen is the spirit of the war of Troy.
Helen of Sparta?
Helen of Troy.
His justification as a young boy is, how can I leave this beautiful woman in the hands of this animal?
The whole story of Troy is about tragedy, the showing of the wrath of man. And even Achilles says it.
We men are wretched things.
And we'll do anything to get more power, no matter what. And Troy is a perfect example of that.
I have endured what no one on earth has endured before. I kiss the hands of the man who killed my son.
You know, shout out to Peter O'Toole. Like I said, that scene with him and Achilles in the camp, and it is acted perfectly. It is done extremely well. Peter O'Toole's presence as a king who's just defeated, who is just distraught. It's such a great scene.
Let me say the prayers. Let me place 2 coins on his eyes for the boatman.
Doesn't change anything. You're still my enemy in the morning.
You're still my enemy tonight. But even enemies can show respect.
So that whole scene is in the Iliad, and it is acted perfectly. Such a beautiful scene. definitely do yourself a favor and rewatch Troy. You will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic film from start to finish. Again, like I said, great acting, great dialogue, action. And if you're not familiar with the story of the Iliad, it's a great introduction into it. Again, just minus the gods. Keeping it grounded was a very good idea because, yeah, like Wolfgang says, it would have been kind of weird if all of a sudden, you see Aphrodite or Apollo show up in the middle of battle. It's like, what would a god wear?
The gods are there, the religion is there, everything is there, but it's only mentioned. It's not part of the film. I think it would be pretty ridiculous to show that. I cannot even imagine the gods showing up, how to dress a god.
I've always honored the gods, Father, you know that. But today I fought a Greek who desecrated the statue of Apollo. Apollo didn't strike the man down.
How would that even work its way into the narrative? David Benoit and Wolfgang Peterson, nobody asked me, but chose correctly in leaving the gods out. They squashed the supernatural aspect that is throughout the Homer epic. Well, for one, it'd be weird if you saw Zeus turn into a swan and have intercourse with Helen's mom. That's how Helen is born. Zeus being a swan, coitus with Helen's mom, and she is born from an egg. And I don't think you could put that in film form. I don't think that would work. After the war, we get the Odyssey, which is the returning journey home for Odysseus, king of Ithaca. And nobody asked me, but having a director as ambitious, creative, and iconic as Christopher Nolan to direct a film dedicated to the Odyssey is just exciting. I can only imagine what the visuals are going to look like. The Cyclops, the sirens, Calypso. It's going to be a wild ride.
Matt Damon.
But before that, I highly recommend that you guys check out Troy because it is, again, a fantastic film, a fantastic story of love, tragedy, of heroes, and I think you'll enjoy it. My name's Tarek Bryant. This is Nobody Asked But, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Nobody asked you, bold boy.